The reason so many autistic adults don't get diagnosed until they're 35, 45, even 60 years old isn't because their autism was mild. It's because they spent decades becoming professionals at hiding it. And that hiding has a name, it has a cost, and it's quietly wrecking their mental health without anyone, including them, realizing why. If you've ever felt like you're fluent in a language everyone else was born speaking, or you've watched your adult child struggle in ways that don't match any autism checklist you've read online, this video is for you. We're not talking about the signs you already know, the ones from childhood checklists written for 8-year-old boys who love trains. We're talking about the signs that show up in adulthood, the ones therapists miss, the ones that get mislabeled as anxiety, depression, or just being sensitive. Let's get into it. Let's start with the big one, because almost everything else in this video connects back to it: masking. Masking is the unconscious, and sometimes very conscious, effort to suppress natural autistic behaviors and perform neurotypical ones instead. It's forcing eye contact that feels physically uncomfortable. It's rehearsing how to laugh at the right moment in a conversation. It's mimicking other people's tone of voice, their slang, their posture, because your own natural way of existing felt like it got you in trouble too many times before. Here's what nobody tells you about masking. It's not a skill, it's a survival response. And like any survival response that runs 24 hours a day, it burns fuel. Autistic adults who mask heavily often describe coming home from work and being unable to speak for hours. Not because they're rude or antisocial, but because the part of their brain responsible for producing speech has been running on empty since 8 a.m. This is why so many autistic adults get diagnosed with anxiety or depression first. The exhaustion, the dread of social events, the feeling of being an imposter in your own life. Those are symptoms of masking, not separate conditions. Treat the anxiety without addressing the mask, and you're just putting a bandage over a wound that keeps reopening every single day. And here's the part that really doesn't get talked about enough. The longer you mask, the less access you have to your own identity. Adults who were praised their whole lives for being so easygoing or so adaptable often reach their 30s or 40s and realize they don't actually know what they like, what they need, or who they are underneath the performance. That's not a character flaw. That's the long-term price of masking, and it's one of the clearest, most under-discussed signs of autism in adults. Before we move on, if this is already sounding familiar, hit like on this video right now. It helps this reach other adults who are quietly Googling this stuff at 1 a.m., wondering if they're finally figuring themselves out. When people think sensory issues, they picture a child covering their ears at a birthday party. But in adults, sensory sensitivity gets disguised as something else entirely, usually as a personality quirk, or worse, as a character flaw. Think about the adult who's labeled high maintenance because they have to sit facing the door at restaurants, or the one who's called picky because certain food textures make them gag, not because they're being dramatic. Think about the person who avoids grocery stores on weekends, not out of laziness, but because fluorescent lighting, overlapping conversations, and background music playing at the same time genuinely feels like sensory static in their brain. There's also temperature sensitivity that gets brushed off as fussiness, clothing tags that feel unbearable against skin, and the discomfort of certain fabrics that others simply don't understand. Many autistic adults have spent years being told they're too sensitive or too particular, when in reality, their nervous system is processing the world at a different volume than everyone else's, often louder, often brighter, often more. And this one really flies under the radar: chronic, unexplained fatigue. Autistic adults often describe feeling tired in a way that sleep doesn't fix. That's not always burnout from masking. Sometimes it's the literal cost of processing sensory input all day without an off switch. Imagine your brain never getting to lower the volume, ever. That adds up. If any of this sounds like your daily experience, or your partner's, or your adult child's, comment below and tell us which one hit hardest. It helps other people in the comments feel less alone, and honestly, it helps us make videos that actually address what you're going through. Here's a sign that almost never makes it onto autism checklists: scripting conversations in advance, sometimes hours or days before they happen. Many autistic adults don't experience conversation the way neurotypical people do, as something spontaneous and improvised. Instead, they build a mental script. They rehearse what they'll say when the barista asks, "How's your day going?" They plan responses for small talk with coworkers. They replay past conversations obsessively afterward, analyzing every sentence for mistakes, cringing over things nobody else even remembers. This is why so many autistic adults seem fine in social situations, and then go home completely depleted. They weren't being naturally social. They were running a live performance based on a script they wrote in advance, adjusting in real time when the conversation didn't go the way they planned. That improvisation, that constant recalculation is exhausting in a way that's almost impossible to explain to someone who has never had to do it. There's also something called the social hangover, needing an entire day, sometimes more, to recover after even an enjoyable social event. It's not that autistic adults don't like people. It's that connecting with people, for many of them, requires conscious translation work that most people never have to think about. Imagine having to mentally translate a foreign language in real time during every single conversation, all day. This next one confuses a lot of autistic adults about themselves because it seems to contradict everything people assume about autism. Many autistic adults experience something called delayed emotional processing. Something happens, a piece of bad news, a conflict with a friend, a stressful event at work, and in the moment, they feel almost nothing. No tears, no visible reaction, sometimes not even words to describe what they're feeling. Then hours later, or even the next day, the emotion hits like a wave, seemingly out of nowhere. This delay gets misread constantly by bosses who think they don't care, by partners who think they're emotionally cold, sometimes by the autistic adults themselves, who spend years believing something is wrong with them because they can't access their feelings on demand, like everyone else seems to. There's also a related experience called alexithymia, difficulty identifying and naming emotions, even when they're clearly being felt. An autistic adult might know their chest feels tight, their stomach hurts, and they can't focus, without being able to label that experience as anxiety or grief until much later, sometimes with help from a therapist walking them through it step by step. This isn't a lack of empathy. In fact, many autistic adults feel emotions, including other people's emotions, more intensely than neurotypical people do. The problem isn't the feeling, it's the translation and the timing. And once you understand that, so many past relationships, past misunderstandings, past moments of feeling broken start to make a lot more sense. Section 5. Autistic burnout disguised as depression or laziness. This last one might be the most important, and the most misdiagnosed sign on this entire list. Autistic burnout. Autistic burnout happens after prolonged periods of masking, sensory overload, and social exhaustion, all stacking on top of each other, without enough recovery time in between. It looks like a sudden loss of skills that used to come easily. Struggling to speak, struggling to make decisions, struggling to complete basic daily tasks like cooking or replying to texts. From the outside, this looks exactly like depression, and often it gets treated as depression, with medication that doesn't quite fix the problem, because the root cause isn't chemical, it's environmental and neurological exhaustion. The autistic adult isn't unmotivated. They are running on a system that has been overdrawn for months, sometimes years, without anyone recognizing what was happening. The tragic part is that burnout often gets worse the more someone pushes through it, using willpower alone, which is exactly what most of us are taught to do. Rest isn't optional here. It's not laziness, and it's not a character flaw. It's the nervous system demanding recovery after running in survival mode for far too long. If you've experienced this, or you've watched someone you love go through it without understanding why, please know, this is real, it's documented, and it's treatable once it's actually recognized for what it is. So where does this leave you? If several of these signs sounded uncomfortably familiar, the masking exhaustion, the sensory overwhelm disguised as pickiness, the scripted conversations, the delayed emotions, the burnout that looked like depression, please don't brush this off as just another internet checklist. These patterns are real, they're documented in adult autism research, and they matter. Consider looking into a formal assessment with a psychologist who specializes in adult autism diagnosis, especially one experienced with how autism presents in adults who learn to mask early in life. And if a full assessment isn't accessible to you right now, that's okay too. Self-identification is valid, and connecting with autistic adult communities online can be an incredibly validating first step. If you're a parent watching this because you recognize your adult child in what we just described, please lead with curiosity instead of certainty. Ask questions. Listen without correcting. The goal isn't to diagnose them from a video. It's to open a door they might have been waiting years for someone to open. We covered 5 signs today that almost never make it into the mainstream conversation about autism. Masking exhaustion, disguised sensory sensitivities, social scripting, delayed emotional processing, and autistic burnout. If this helped even one thing click into place for you, subscribe to this channel. We're building a space specifically for adults navigating late discovery and diagnosis, without the childhood stereotypes that don't apply to your life. And before you go, drop a comment letting us know which sign resonated with you the most. Not for the algorithm, because someone else scrolling through these comments tonight needs to see they're not the only one who feels this way. Thank you for watching. Take care of yourself, and we'll see you in the next one.